You're watching TelecomTV's exclusive coverage of the Wi-Fi Global Congress from London. And I'm joined now by Kelly Davis-Fellner, who is VP Marketing at the Wi-Fi Alliance. Kelly, thanks for talking with TelecomTV again.
Thank you for having me.
First question I have to ask, Kelly, is what would you say are the main challenges that are facing the Wi-Fi industry today?
I think the thing that keeps me up at night and keeps my colleagues up at night the most is we're really sort of stepping out of our echo chamber. We had this long legacy of being very comfortable in our high-tech bubble, and now what we're seeing is the stakeholders are getting much, much, much broader, and the sort of end-user market for Wi-Fi has broadened significantly. And you have this huge range of service providers who have, on the one hand, have very, very specific technology expectations and requirements and expect a very, very high-end customized experience. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you have, for example, appliance makers who want a ready-made module. They don't want to think about Wi-Fi. And then there's points in between. And I think finding ways to collaborate and collect input from that very, very diverse array of market segments is really the thing that is the most challenging, certainly in Wi-Fi Alliance today.
How does the IoT sector fit into this? Because IoT M2M providers, you've got a choice of cellular, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got low power WANs.
Absolutely, and it's a massive opportunity, and we know that it's going to be a range of technologies that are going to solve all these problems. And I think for us, it is a very exciting time, but at the same time, we're learning a lot as an industry in trying to kind of understand those market requirements, and again, kind of go back to that idea of what constitutes ready-made technology and make Wi-Fi the easiest choice in every case. And so for us, that's what we spend a lot of time thinking about lately.
As we see the cellular operators take more interest in Wi-Fi and looking to coexist services with license and license-exempt spectrum, what will that mean for Wi-Fi providers? Is this a good move with LAA and LTE-U, or is it more of a threat?
I think we don't know yet. Naturally coexistence is paramount to everybody. I think, there is a risk of kind of a race to the bottom if we don't get coexistence right. And that's going to ruin it for end users, but it's also going to ruin it for the brands of the vendors and service providers and so forth. And I think that's why you're seeing so much dialogue in the industry about coexistence. We've really got to get that right. And I think the other observational offer is that we are all very incentivized to get the most that we can out of spectrum, because it's a very scarce resource, and it's really important that we continue to innovate and get the most that we possibly can and get that coexistence question right.
You're talking about spectrum. The cellular operators constantly seem to talk about the lack of spectrum to offer new services, and yet Wi-Fi providers have had to make do with what they have for a long time, and yet performance gains still seem to be made. How come?
I think scarcity and hunger is a real motivator. And, one of our bragging points is always to say, well, we've gone from 11 megabits per second to over a gigabit per second with no new spectrum. And I think, it really has been a matter of we have to get more, juice from the radish or blood from the stone, or whatever euphemism you like. And that has really motivated a lot of the performance gains, many of which were invented in the Wi-Fi community and are now used kind of on the cellular side as well.
Another new service that's coming on board with some operators and providers is Wi-Fi Calling. What progress has been made with that?
This is so fascinating to me. For us, we've been doing voice over Wi-Fi stuff for a long, long time. And, the heritage of this application is that it was used in enterprise for many, many, many years. We started our first certification program for voice back in 2006, I think. But it is really exciting to sort of see this new application emerge into the consumer space and into the service provider space and see it kind of used there as well. It seems that subscribers are really welcoming it, and it's providing a much more sort of affordable and very, very satisfactory service to a broad range of people. So it's an interesting space to watch. It's still, very early, but for us, it's very satisfying to kind of see it cross over into that consumer market.
How is the take-up of 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi progressing?
It's interesting you ask. We have done some research recently on that very topic because with the introduction of Wi-Fi certified ACs, so sort of the current form of Wi-Fi which operates in 5 gigahertz, we were curious to see sort of how that had shaped the market. And when we did the research, we partnered with ABI Research and kind of looked at shipments in 2014. And we've kind of reached that inflection point where more devices now are dual band than not. And so what that means is 5 gigahertz is very much today's Wi-Fi. We can't get it all done with just 2.4, and those days are long over. And so we're seeing very, very broad adoption in kind of the mass market now of 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi as well.
Okay. And what can the industry and the Wi-Fi Alliance in particular do to encourage more roaming or easier roaming for users?
I think that is definitely the billion-dollar question. In Wi-Fi Alliance, we have done things to sort of make the technology work, right? Make it possible to forge Wi-Fi roaming. And now we have to do the hard stuff, which is to kind of foster collaboration and the business models and work really closely with WBA to kind of deliver on that promise of NGH. And it is taking quite a bit of exchange and collaboration and patience, but we are really starting to see it take shape. We just heard J.R. Wilson, the chairman of WBA, kind of reading off the list of commercial deployments, and his point was he had to pull out a list because the list was too long, he didn't have it memorized anymore. So we are starting to see some traction, but I think we still have more work to do.
Excellent. Kelly, thanks very much for talking with us.
Thank you, it's really a pleasure.